everyone, Megan Tucker here with Usborne Books and More, and today I'm going to share with you some of our nonfiction books. This is an area where Usborne really excels, so I have a lot of things to show you. The first book is My Very First Space Book. Now, Usborne has a few of these My Very First books, and they're great because the pages are really sturdy. There's not a lot of information on each page, and you'll notice that the illustrations are really beautiful. This is one of our My Very First books. It's great for young learners. The next book I have to show with you is a step up from that, and it's our Look Inside book. This is Look Inside Space. There are all kinds of flaps in this book. There's flaps inside of flaps, all sorts of information to learn about space. This book even has a fold-out page, which kids love looking at the fold-out pages just because they're cool. But also when kids are opening these flaps, they are engaging a different part of their brain, which is really helping them understand and, learn these different topics. The next book I have to show you is See Inside How Things Work. This book is great for any kiddos who just want to know how things work. It talks about simple machines, all sorts of things that move and shake, talks about waterworks, talks about different musical instruments. There's all sorts of flaps in here to just really show you how these things work in our everyday lives. And I find something new in this book every time I look through it because there's so much information. So this is our See Inside book. The next book I have to share with you is from our question and answer series. This is about animals. You'll notice in these books that each flap has its own question. And when kiddos ask the questions, then they're able to kind of think about the answers before opening the flap and seeing what the true answer is. So all kinds of just fun information. You could do, a few flaps a day and just help get kiddos engaged in their reading. So this is our question and answers books. The next one I have to share with you is one of my favorites. It's our Lift the Flap Numbers book. What I love about this book is it starts off great for younger learners because it helps them practice counting. For instance, on this page, they can count the animals and underneath lift the flaps to see if they're correct. And as the book progresses, it starts talking about even and odd numbers, and it talks about if you take some away or add some. On this particular page, it talks about adding people to a vehicle and then people getting off. So it's a book that can absolutely grow with your learners. The next one I have is our Lift the Flap Fractions and Decimals. And as a math teacher, I love this book because it's such an abstract concept for kiddos. And this book does a great job of giving examples and really helping kids understand these topics. I love this graphic because it's interactive. So you can flip this over and you can see that 2 halves equal a whole. So you can manipulate these pieces and really get a good understanding of fractions this way. And then it also starts relating to decimals. And there, it talks about place value. There's this little sliding mechanism here. But it's just, it's a great book for helping kids understand, what fractions and decimals are. The next book I have for you is our Lift the Flap Telling Time. And this is another great book because it talks about analog clocks and digital clocks, and it talks about, what the hands on a clock represent. It really helps kids understand what we mean when we say it's 9:15. It breaks that down for kiddos. There's lots of flaps to kind of help them understand. And it shows the different hands. And as you go through it, it also starts to talk about military time and different things you do at different parts of the day, AM and PM. When you get to the back, there is a little clock that's interactive, and you'll notice the green side says past, the yellow side says to. So you could say, 5 past 2, or, it's 10 to 11. So it just helps kids get that vocabulary, that language down a little bit more. The next book I have for you is from our Big Book series. This is Big Book of Big Machines. Now this book is great for any machine lover. The kids love these large fold-out pages in these books, and it shows just how big some things really are. So this one is our book about machines. There's chunks of information that is great for readers. Not too much information. They can kind of pick and choose what they want to learn about. So this, once again, is great for any machine lovers. In that same series, we have the Human Body book, the big book of the body. And this one is awesome because it has the skeletal system in it, and it just kind of talks you through your body. So you can see the skeleton here, and then when you flip it, it's the muscles on the other side. And then as you go through it, it talks about your intestines too, and it talks about, or I guess your digestive system, it talks about your lungs, your heart and blood, and so there's just all kinds of information for kiddos to learn about their bodies. The next book I have for you is for any computer lovers. This is Computers and Coding. All sorts of flaps in here that help you learn a little bit more about computers and technology and what different things mean when it comes to computers and technology. It talks about how computers think and the language they use, different instructions to kind of help you with computers. And then it starts to talk about Scratch and that kind of programming. So it's just a really cool book. At the end, it has a little timeline that talks about computers and history. So it's just really great for any computer buffs. In addition to that, we have coding for beginners using Scratch. This is great for any kiddos that, want to practice using Scratch because there are different projects in here for them to do. My fourth graders love playing around with Scratch anytime they get a chance, but it just kind of helps walk them through how to use Scratch, and it gives them activities in the process. So that's Coding for Beginners. The next book I have to share with you is it's The Story of Inventions, and this book is great because it highlights some inventors and scientists from the past that have helped shape technology in the modern days. So while it has some of our, super popular, well-known scientists, it also has some that have helped shape the world we live in now. The next two books I have to show you are 100 Things to Know About Space and 100 Things to Know About Science. These books are so cool. When you look inside of them, there's 100 different facts inside of them. And so, let's see here. So, tiny underwater plants can change the weather. There's all sorts of information. Any science buff would have so much fun reading this and sharing all kinds of information with people. Most space rockets burn 3/4 of their fuel in the first 3 minutes of flight, and then it tells you a little bit more about that. So this is 100 Things to Know About Science. And the last book I have to share with you today is great for any animal lovers. It's Usborne's World of Animals. And this book is great because it shows animals from different regions, and there are maps, all kinds of information about the animals. It talks about the biggest animals, the smallest animals, their habitats, where they're from. In the back there is a fact file that has some quizzes in there, animal facts, glossary index, all sorts of things. And this book is internet linked, and so you can continue your learning online, which is just a really cool feature that Usborne has in several of their books. I hope you're able to find something great for your kiddos. If you have any questions or would like help finding something specific, please let us know because we have so many different topics for all sorts of interest. Thanks for stopping by.